everybody, and welcome here to a Kerfuffle Panel Show. I am absolutely excited. I am on the edge of my seat. We have got proper estate agency royalty here. Sat beneath me, we have Mr. Paul Long, Mr. Facebook. I feel like a fraud talking to him now on social without deferring to him and tipping my hat. Mr. Paul Long, how are you, sir? You okay? You well?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good.
Wonderful. We have the two ValPalers, MovePalers. We have Craig and we have Anthony. How are you, sirs? You both well?
Very good, thank you. Sir.
Craig looking very resplendent there. I want to know what's going on in that room later on.
I'll show you later.
I've had offers like that before. Mr. Sanjay Gandhi, how are you, sir?
All good. A bit sort of teary-eyed after the football last night, so I'm still getting over another defeat, mate. So
keep your energy levels up.
Sam. I know. So if I'm a bit down, you know why, yeah?
I mean, you know, it's the definition of madness watching Spurs and expecting anything different to happen, isn't it?
Exactly. We were very Spursy last night. Can't deny that.
I can't wait to hear MovePal's solution to Spurs, but we're going
might need a few days time in a way, actually.
We have Malcolm White. How are you, sir? Joining us from YouMove.
Yeah, pretty good. Busy on sales and letting. So
okay, well, that's what we want to hear. See, Sam, that's how you do it. Keep going there. So we're gonna.
I'm afraid I'm a Spurs fan as well. So
oh no,
I need to do a bit more vetting.
Still smiling.
I need to do a bit more vetting on these calls. I'm going to have a word with
That's right. I think we need a football Zoom.
Yeah. And Matthew Griffiths from Brockenhurst. How are you, sir? You okay?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much.
You going to state your football allegiance or?
Yeah, Chelsea. So.
This is just not typical as a Liverpool fan. Right, well, we've got to
get quiet.
We've got loads of angst going off amongst us here. I'm not sure this is going to go the way the ValPal people work, but we're here today. I mean, obviously everybody knows ValPal. I mean, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, guys? You've got such a massive network now, about 4,000 agents on board with you guys. But today is really about MovePal, which is where it's ValPal and everything else on steroids, isn't it? It's just so we can understand and get the context before we get the feedback from the guys here. Just give us that context about why did you build MovePal? What was it meant to? The problem it was meant to solve. Who wants to kick us off?
I'll kick you off if you like. So,
nice.
Yeah, I think the main purpose behind it is we had some clients that were struggling to use ValPal in order to generate leads. They had it on their website, didn't have a lot of traffic, but weren't doing much else with it. And we had another bunch of clients that were doing a lot with it. But when we really got sort of peeled back some layers, what we realized is that whilst they were speaking to, and this is a common theme, that the negs will take those leads, pick up the phone and take the cream off the top, right? So the yeses they'll convert into business, but anything else apart from a yes gets sidetracked, binned, put into, they might have a nurture, but most of them don't. So they don't get looked at again. The business owner spends loads of money trying to generate those new leads and they're really not getting, you know, I think most agents, if they look at themselves, they understand that is a challenge, that is a problem. So what we did with MovePal incorporates ValPal, incorporates a fully managed Facebook ad campaign to put new leads into the top of the hopper, but then nurtures both new leads and existing leads in order to tell the agent when to phone them based on their behavioral patterns. So when a homeowner does something, downloads a guide, they get pinged on an app or on their desktop, and it tells them, the subtext of it is, right, this client's done something, subtext, get on the phone and now have a chat with them. And obviously the text messaging that's built in within the system is an obvious, you know, somebody replies to your text, you can reply back to them very quickly. So it's, you know, it's all about the sales funnel really, and squeezing them down the sales funnel until the consumer's ready to talk to the agent. And that's key, because we know that that's getting, you know, that's a period of time depending on where the lead came into the sales hopper from, whether it's social or, you know, whatever.
So if I was going on Dragon's Den, I was trying to overdo it. It'd be an omni platform nurturing system, wouldn't it? To be able to get that. So you're using, as you said, text message, as we know, still has a fantastic response rate and everything else if you use it right and you don't abuse the system there and everything else. And I think I'm really interested by your point there. You're talking about obviously those leads. There is that tendency again for some staff to take the low-hanging fruit and obviously just that lot of tire kickers. And there's no more certain thing to guarantee, is there, that they are going to be tire kickers if you don't deal with them in an effective way, in an effective time period there. So it's more about the management of the leads, isn't it, per se, that obviously generating leads is vitally important. Yeah. Anthony, you were talking to us just off camera there. Do you want to just give us some context about that client you were talking about? Because I think that brings it to the fore as well, doesn't it?
Yes. So this client is just a first-hand example, really. So they're a 10-branch agent. So they've been live tomorrow for a month with ValPal, and they've generated over 200 leads. So they've experienced that, which we've all known, online valuation tools, not just ValPal, is now a proven to work lead gen source in the industry. And the first part can be relatively easily if you've got the right person doing the marketing to generate the leads. But what they've now faced is that second challenge. It's like, oh no, what do we now do? Our team physically cannot manually keep on top of all of those leads. And if there's 200 leads generated over a month for 3 months, that's 600 leads that they then need to keep in front of or keep in touch with. And we know actually on average, some potentially even longer, the average online valuation lead takes between 4 to 6 months to actually be ready to convert. It's near impossible for them to keep manually engaging with every single person for 4 to 6 months, if not longer. So that's just where MovePal kicks in to be that extra team member to work alongside them, not to replace them, just to work alongside that and see that as an extra team member to do a lot of that grunt work for them, for the people that aren't ready.
Cool. And how long is it? How long have you had it out there? Can you give us an idea around costs? Are we, it'd be interesting to understand where this fits in the spend sort of spectrum.
Yeah, so it's about 18 months now. It's been out there. It's been refined all the time. As far as cost is concerned, bearing in mind that it incorporates ValPal, so the ValPal subscription, a fully managed Facebook ad campaign, and the platform, you're looking at $399 per month, $395 setup fee. That's for 2 branches, and then 50 quid for every branch thereafter. So we've tried to pitch it so that there's not a barrier to market. It's relatively affordable. So hopefully everyone should be able to afford it.
Well, what's nice there is you're layering in the different levels, aren't you? So you've got ValPal there as a very cost-effective way of getting involved with stuff. You've got MovePal now, obviously, there in that mid-tier with a more managed process and everything else to be able to do it. But I suppose the key element here isn't it, that ultimately all this stuff is ultimately measurable anyway. So your ROI is going to be incredibly easy to see and talk about. And unless these guys are going to really let me down and you down afterwards, well, unless you mischoose your clients to come on here, we're going to hear more about how that works going forwards. But those numbers are staggering, aren't you? As you just started doing them, Anthony, as you start rolling them out, it's not like we're all busy and we're all still caught in that kind of in that lockdown mode, aren't we? Well, lots of people had less staff then, doing more with it, remaining as efficient as you possibly could. It's not hard to see why so many people were burning out last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
In terms of there. So, and that problem presents itself again, doesn't it? Time and time again, because I think it's very easy to hit the floor and to running and to do all this prospecting, of course, when you start to get quiet. But that feast and famine approach, every marketer will tell you, is not the optimum way, is it, to nurture these
No,
leads?
absolutely not. But we do see that happen quite a lot when they are busy. And I think something else to touch upon as well is one of the things that we're seeing is the optimum solution for this as well. Because it's not, when we're talking about the negs at the sharp pointy end, not picking the phone up to leads or nurturing them, it's not really because we're not suggesting that they're lazy. What we're saying is that it's just resource. It's just they're so busy with everything else that they just don't have the ability to do that. But where we are finding for Anthony's client, for an example, if for that 10 branch agency, our preferred solution to them would be to say, look, have a hub. So if you have a hub that is, so you've got 1 or 2 people that are dedicated to making these calls and managing their MovePal platform, and then once they book them in, then farm them out, we know that works better for results wise than letting the 10 branches do the work at branch level. Now that's not always possible, no. But we now realize that is the best solution.
You can see that working out there amongst all of those, those thousands of clients there. You just know that that's the one where it works best, tied up with the service, is it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's the best solution, but it's not the only solution. And we've got a lot of clients that do it from branch level that work it very successfully. But just as an overall.
Well, in classic Simon Well fashion, I forgot to even say what the title of the webinar was. So we're almost 20 minutes in. Let's start that now. So we'll find out why agents love MovePal. But that gives me a perfect segue to jump into the people who are going to be talking to us now. So could I just kick off with you, Matthew, if that's okay, just to start with, what do you feel is the pain point or problem that MovePal solves for you? We've heard from the guys there. Do you want to just give us your take on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Craig's spot on in terms of the time. And I think if you look at what we do and you get to the end of the day and you've got loads of leads being generated, however which way they come, like you've got this pool of data you've got to deal with. When you're speaking with someone who's just remortgaged but wants to move in 2 years and you're scheduling a note to call every 6 months, hypothetically, when you get to the end of a day and you've got the stuff that you've done and what's important, are you going to bother making the call that you don't see bearing fruit immediately, or are you going to spend time doing what's going to give you something more immediate? And I think it's right. It's not laziness, but that's just the reality of being busy. And I think what this does is just helps people along the journey. You're showing that you're there. You're keeping front of mind. It's, in my mind, the same as popping a leaflet through someone's door, knocking on the door and saying hello, like picking up the phone. If they're getting an email, they're getting a text, they're getting something, they've interacted with us 2 years ago, but by the time they're ready to move, actually, they feel like they know us really, really well. Okay. So that was the big thing for us, just overseeing and managing this data effectively rather than having it sit there and ultimately go to waste, because hopefully they call us when they're ready. We called and said hi at the start and hopefully they get in touch. So it's been brilliant.
So that sounds really good there, Matt. So, and one of the other things that's, so lots of different points you touched on there, but actually the one that just jumps out there right at the end is just that continual touch points as well is a brand builder for yourself as well. So it's no longer, you're not doing the classic sort of agency kind of, oh, I sold your house 4 years ago. Do you want to now, come back to me? Yeah. It's continual. I mean, there's all sorts of boring compliance stuff around, GDPR, where you should be talking to people every 6 months and everything else anyway, which we'll leave out of this. But it's just consistency breeds success. It sounds like off the back of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all has snowballed for us massively. So I find now that the valuations we're going out to on the back of MovePal, where we've kind of nurtured them along the journey, they've had the texts, etc. We've been sending the texts as well, so it is personalized as you go, and that's all built into the platform. We're going out and getting far fewer fee objections. You're not coming up against other agents. So we're going in there getting full fees far more regularly. And I think you can kind of credit that to the platform being there.
One thing I know about prop tech people is if you start telling them how fantastic it is,
it'll go up. It better not.
If you want to keep that fantastically mid price, just turn it down a bit. Hey, Malcolm, from your point of view, again, do you remember, what was it that made you sign up to it? Obviously as a YouMove thing, you're going to be busier than anyone, aren't you, yourselves, doing everything yourselves? So what was it attracted it from your point of view?
Well, Craig will have to remind me when we actually signed up for ValPal, but it was a while back now. And we then moved on to the MovePal platform. And ValPal has worked really quite well for us. We get a good steady stream of leads coming in. And I think the thing we found, at the risk of sounding slightly Luddite, some of our sales guys, negotiators, valuers are a little more mature than some. And
Malcolm, not everyone can be Peter Pan like myself. Don't worry.
You're looking in the pink, of course, Simon. But yeah, so I think we found with MovePal, just the technology from. I know it's really, really simple to use,
yeah.
and I have an IT background, so I was like, yeah, this is fine. You know, you move the opportunity along and all the rest of it. As Matthew was saying, send the text or whatever out.
Yeah.
But actually, we were finding some of our guys were struggling with that.
Yeah.
From both a time point of view, but just a technology angle. I know that sounds sacrilegious in this circle of people, particularly with Paul here. But yeah, so we moved on to the full feast, or whatever the right phrase is. And that worked. I think it was actually September we started that, and that has worked very well for us. Obviously, the Christmas has intervened in the meantime, but in September we got 7 MAs booked by the lovely Letia, and in October we got 11. We have 2 branches, one in Salisbury, one in Winchester, just to give it some context.
Yeah. No,
it did dip a little bit over the Christmas period, as I guess it does for all of us. I'm talking about sales rather than lettings at the moment. But yeah, I think the main thing for us was the whole nurturing going on. And the thing I particularly like is the mix of emails going out and text. And I think it's fair to say that the texts get quite a strong result. And rightly or wrongly, our head office, as in the franchise head office, has done some analysis of leads coming in, new OLV leads, and they say that something like 1 in 50 converts. When it is exactly as Matthew said and others, you know, you can't keep persisting, you know, phoning somebody or whatever unless you've got something to support that process.
No.
The sales guys, the negotiators will try and pick off cream off the top in terms of active leads, and yeah, then it goes into the database, and if you're not careful, they stop getting called.
Yeah, it's the prop tech version of the Starlight Pit, just to show my age again there, which can be problematic. But what I liked about you're talking about them there, Malcolm, is that often, you know, you can make the right decision for your business, can't you? And it can be the right solution. But unfortunately, obviously, having a mix of staff at different tech levels just means that the adoption curve can be different for different people, don't they? So you've looked at just, it sounds like, what was a real challenge there in the business, and the guys were able and nimble enough to create a solution that was able to, well, to give you the full fat all you can eat option, as we were just talking about it there, the fully managed service from them.
Yeah, that's right. I think the other thing I would say with ValPal is they've been quite flexible in terms of, I mean, YouMove is a national franchise and all the rest of it, but they've been quite flexible in working alongside us to reflect the YouMove brand and marketing. And I dare say there's some suppliers out there who might not have been quite as flexible.
Okay, that's good to hear. So, Paul, from your point of view, as a man who knows a little bit about this sort of stuff here, you know, what was it that got you engaged enough to think that, you know, this is really this is something you wanted to throw your part in?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me was that there's obviously an opportunity there to generate leads on social media for agents and obviously for our family business as well. But they are a different type of lead. You know, they're not sort of the normal lead you find in estate agency businesses such as, you know, Rightmove or people calling you up. And the biggest problem was nurturing those leads over time, but also one of the things that hasn't been mentioned was speed to lead. You know, it was actually being able to call these people, engage with these people really quickly. And a lot of these social media leads are coming in at really unusual times or times where our team, you know, the family business couldn't really speak to them or couldn't get in touch with them. So that's one of the biggest things that has really helped us. And I think Malcolm mentioned about text messages. You know, the automation of the text messages and the engagement we get with that is huge. So yeah, converting social media leads right at the beginning, but then having a system which is going to look after them, be it they want to do something straight away, or it might be, you know, 4 or 5 months later, and telling our team that someone's ready. So that they were the key things that we wanted and we've got with MovePal.
Would you say there that key point you just mentioned there, having a system is the key element? Is it quite often you know, you see a lot of agencies, don't they? They have a solution for that narrow part of the process. You have another one here, but actually a system to bring it all together is often missing. And it sounds to me that quite cleverly it's been thought of as to actually let's come up with an overall strategy rather than it being piecemeal.
Yeah, I think the key thing is there's systems out there that will help with those people who want to do things straight away, but most of the leads that come in are people that are sort of medium-term decision makers or long-term decision makers, and that wasn't being looked after. So, you know, the sort of the 10-15% of people that might do something straight away, we're all attacking, but those sort of people who are taking longer to make a decision or not quite ready, because one of the things you've got to remember is that, you know, we're now in a sort of a place where people start the journey so much earlier because all the tools are there. You know, online you can look at how much a mortgage is, you can do research, and people are doing that so much earlier. And these leads will come in very early. So actually having a tool that looks after those people until they are ready in a system that looks after all those types of people is so important.
What does medium and long term mean to you, Paul? What I mean, you don't have to precisely by the day, but just what I'd just be interested in understanding what you feel by that.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously medium's going to be anyone who doesn't do anything straight away. So after sort of perhaps a couple of weeks, if they're not doing something, they're probably going to perhaps be doing something in the next few months, maybe a month to sort of 4 months time. And then there's going to be those people that are going to do things a lot longer. You know, it could be a year, it could be even longer than that. But I think most of the times, most people dismiss those people thinking that, like you said, tire kickers are not going to do anything, but they will. It's just that at the moment it's an idea. They're going through that sort of research and discovery phase, and once they feel it's the right time, they'll come back. And if you haven't done that nurturing, then you've just wasted money.
No. And here's the great news, Paul, isn't it? Because all those agents that are, and let's face it, 95% of agents out there will not bother staying in contact with those longer terms on there. But that's great news for everyone else, because that's less contended, isn't it? And who better to impress than the one agent that stayed in contact with them that whole time? It's you know, it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? So thank you. That's really good context there. And Sanjay, from your point of view, what is it? Obviously, you've got an incredible busy business there and everything else. For yourself, I don't guess you're shorter leads. What was it attracted you to MovePal yourself?
Well, I think for me, Simon, it's been a number of things. One is I was an early adopter with ValPal and saw, you know, how much sense that made of creating a funnel, bringing these people in. The problem we had and what we were guilty of was plenty of leads generated, but how were we actually managing these people? And as Paul was saying there, you know, what's the time lead to them actually taking action? Because, you know, we're all guilty. We all want marriage on first date. Ain't going to happen, and we have to be realistic about that. So I think the MovePal platform gave us that nurturing journey of, you know, not one shoe fits all, whether it was 1 week, 10 weeks, or 12 months time, when people were going to take action, we had something in place that was keeping them warm. And more importantly, we all talk about, you know, keeping in touch policies. So this was a brilliant platform that gives us that opportunity. For me, it's been a lot more different to, I suppose, how some other agents or owners are using it, because one of the things you just touched on is a lot of agents, even now, you know, with my mastermind groups and people I talk to, so many agents are scrambling for new instructions, and the next shiny product that comes out, they're onto it. We're all guilty of it. But what I find a lot of people aren't doing is actually nurturing their existing database, which is absolute goldmine. All right. So one of the things I've used MovePal for myself is to talk to Craig and say, right, all these so-called archive people, and we've got 20, 30,000, they're not dead and buried. They're people that are just not ready, or different circumstances in their life are dictating what actions they're taking. So what I want to know is, if I've got 20, 30,000 people in my archive, you know, I'm not going to get all my negotiators to ring 20 or 30,000 people. Matthew said earlier, busy day, you're going to leave people out and all the rest of it. So my view was, if I could weight some of these dead bodies in that archive, they're going to be people straight to the bottom line in terms of return on investment. So what a great way of talking to them, getting them reactivated, spending money, but more importantly, that's going straight to the bottom line, because it's not really affecting any of our costs. They're already there.
Yeah.
And it saves me spending a load of money chasing new business, when really I should, you know, I've spent money on them previously to get them into my funnel, and then done nothing with it.
You've banked them. You want to move on to the next, don't you? So
yeah, absolutely. So we got to get back to the rinse and repeat process. You know, get these people out of there and start, you know, letting them know we're still here. You know, my business now 16 years on, so I know we spent a boatload in the first few years of acquiring all these people, and you know, they still need somewhere to live. And if ever, it's more important than ever since the pandemic that people's circumstances are changing. So what are we doing? And I think this platform nails that. And I'll tell you the other thing that I've done, because as I said, I'm an early adopter in a lot of these things. So we've done MovePal, we've done ValPal, we've then done MovePal. We're now on version 3, which is ChatPal. So as you guys were all saying, text messages and everything, we're now taking WhatsApp to the next level. And again, we're using Craig in all of this, and you know, we're talking all the time, me, Craig, Paul, in how can we elevate this further to really get, you know, when Paul was saying about speed to lead, how can we really step on the toes of these clients and make sure we're at front of mind whenever they're thinking about a property decision. So ChatPal now is really making it even more interactive when they know they've got somebody there virtually like 24/7. Now,
I mean,
a lot of agents still don't even use WhatsApp or whatever, you know, even to contact their people. All right. Whereas, you know, for us, we've been doing this for quite a while now with, you know, sales lettings, landlords and vendors and that. You know, we want to make sure we're at the forefront of their minds. And Paul will tell you, even from my masterminds, you know, I'm still amazed how many agents don't even have mobile phones for their staff in this 21st century, not being able to, you know, contact your people on mobile and stuff. I just find it incredible.
No, it's crazy, isn't it? I think, you know, probably people think that TikTok's still for memes and strange people dancing on TikTok. But, you know, the only, I mean, the truth is, as a business platform, there is nothing else, is there? The only one that has, as far as I'm aware, higher deliverability and open rates above text messaging is WhatsApp, isn't it? So,
yeah,
absolutely. Again, the key thing is again, as long as you protect that and you are delivering relevant, interesting information to them, that's a value-added service that's going to be appreciated. I think you were saying,
and I just want to say as well, Simon. I mean, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet here, but again, back to the Facebook stuff, yeah. So I've had a guy who's posted on Facebook on Sunday who's just messaged in, you know, randomly asking for a mortgage advisor. So there's me promoting my wife's business, saying, yeah, we can help you, whatever. And just posted, he's come back. And I thought, right, I'm going to get him off the public page and get him on Messenger, which to me is just like WhatsApp. And so I was having a chat saying, look, we can look after you with your mortgage requirements, all this. Anyway, the guy's then changed his mind within 24 hours. he says, oh, my tenants have just handed the notice in, because he was looking at remortgaging.
Yeah.
So he says, my tenants have handed the notice in. Actually, I'm now thinking about probably just selling my property. So I'm like, yeah, great, we can help you sell your property. And, you know, I probably have a buyer for you already. So I've then put it onto, you know, my team. I've just had a text earlier. They've been booked in for next Tuesday. So when Paul talks about speed to lead, from something that was potentially just a remortgage has now gone into an MA.
Yeah.
But it's all about how quick are you responding and reacting, whether it's WhatsApp or Messenger. Now, if somebody had said, well, we're not back to the office till Monday or whatever, it's who's going to react the quickest and get these people, you know, to understand and believe and work in your system and processes.
It's two aspects there, isn't it? You just highlighted, first of all, speed, but the other one is just the most basic one. It's all about basic networking. Every time you have a connection, other opportunities come off the back of that. Yeah. Without that connection, however, you miss out on those conversations that might lead somewhere else. And that's
and this is social media. You know, we're still, lots of people still banging on about it's all Rightmove, it's all Zoopla, but I'm sorry, the times are changing. It ain't all about portals for me.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Sanj. I'm going to come back to the rest of you in a second and just ask what I think it's fair to say what Sanj's favourite feature is, but I'm going to ask the others there what you feel is the best feature out of MovePal that you're getting at the moment. But I'm just going to go back to Craig and Anthony there, if we can do, and say, well, first of all, that must be nice to hear straight from the horse's mouth, obviously. So,
yeah,
and there's consistency there, but actually they're all jumping on many different important layers there, which shows what a deep solution it is as well. But the key one I was just going to pick up at your conversation there is what Sandra's making the point about is where, let's be honest, it becomes a bit of a urinal, standing by the urinal moment, because you start hearing agents talking about the size of their database and everything else. I've got 20,000, I've got 50,000. It's a complete vanity stat, isn't it, without the engagement on that? Because if you then said, okay, matey, you know, when did you last write to them? What did you get off the back of it? That's the only bit that, let's be honest, otherwise you're just paying for storage space on your computer, aren't you?
100%. And that's one of the things that we, you know, we talk to all of our members. We want to bring their database into it as soon as we possibly can, right? So as soon as they go live, we're talking to them about bringing their database in, because as it's been mentioned already by numerous people here, you own that data, right? You don't have to go out looking for that data. You've already paid for that data. So it's a case of utilizing it. But we won't just, you know, we import it all and then we send them off on we drip them in. So it's not like if your guy's got 10,000 in his database, we're not going to be sending out 10,000 on day one, because then that would just swamp everybody and it would be actually counterproductive. So it has to be dripped in. So over a period of whatever, you know, it could be a period of 3 months. It might take 3 months to get all of that database flushing through the funnels, but there's a strategy put into place behind each demographic of that database, and it might not all be the same, obviously. So you know, it's joined up thinking, Simon, basically.
Great. Well, that makes absolute sense why you should be doing that. Right, I'm going to go back to the guys then, if that's all right. Matthew, from your point of view again, what is it really, if you were looking at MovePal now, makes you think that's the standout feature for me? And I suppose also, if we can have a ride on from there, what's the one thing that MovePal enables you to do that you couldn't do before?
I think, okay, so two things. Firstly, in terms of what Paul said about the speed to lead, because each lead that comes through is having a text automatically from us, it looks personal. People believe it's from me or one of the team specifically. I think that's a really, really nice touch. It's one of those things, because it's fairly generic isn't the word, but you don't expect people to believe it's personal. You expect them to think it's a computer message. So the texting system that's integrated is amazing. You get to the lead really, really swiftly. It's a nice personal text that you can then engage in a conversation with as and when you've got 5 minutes. If you don't respond immediately, it doesn't matter. You've got a bit of a dialogue going.
Yeah.
So I think the inbuilt texting to get to the leads really, really quickly, if you're not at your desk, is great. And I suppose secondly, in terms of what we couldn't do before, I've always come from the school of like nurturing your leads by, here's when I've spoken with you, I'll catch up with you in 3 months time, and yeah, fantastic, look forward to hearing what you're doing next when I catch up with you again in 3 months time. But you cannot tell if something has changed in those 3 months. So what happens if 6 weeks down the line, actually circumstances have changed and now the couple are getting a divorce and need to come to the market more swiftly? Well, I'm not going to catch up with them. But now with the texts and emails being integrated, what we find a lot is that suddenly someone will open the email that you've sent with the latest guide on how to achieve the best price. We're notified immediately, and you pick up the call and find out that actually Sandra, who I spoke with 6 months ago and had agreed to speak with in a further 6 months, actually circumstances have changed and we know immediately, so we can call and kind of strike while the iron's hot. So I think that's something that without MovePal, you'd have no idea. It's luck, and you're hoping that people's timescales are exactly what they had in mind and nothing changes. And yeah, the inbuilt text, as simple as that sounds, I think the fact that it's swift, it's quick, and it's instant and it's personal is really good.
Yeah, so expecting to put a date in the diary, a reminder in the diary, and that to be the exact, as it's pure guesswork, isn't it? What you're doing actually is you're responding then to the needs and the activity that they're actually looking at. And I'm guessing that must have a follow-on effect, that when you are actually getting conversations with them, it's a far more productive phone call, isn't it? In terms of, because you know where they're up to.
Yeah, massively. We get it all the time. Quick email comes through. This person's downloaded this. You know, it's the person you spoke with 4 weeks ago, said they weren't ready, but maybe call in a couple of months to see if you can get in the door. And then suddenly we're speaking with them and yeah, situation's changed. Here's what's happened, Matt. I did download the guide. Thanks for sending it through. And yeah, let's have a chat. Come see me. So yeah, works brilliantly.
Thanks, Matthew. Malcolm, what about from your point of view there in terms of the favorite thing? Is it that ability to free up the rest of your staff, or what is it that you feel from the guys give you?
Well, I would certainly agree with Matthew. It is that combination of email and text and an active follow up, and yeah, we looked at whether we should have somebody allocated to managing MovePal.
Yep.
But it just seems simpler to us, and dare I say, a sort of, you know what the return on investment is, with the guys at MovePal doing, or the ladies at MovePal doing the phoning, and obviously there's a cost per MA, which I'm sure Craig or Anthony can cover for you, but you know, it seemed a much more reasonable way of doing it to me, because if you go out and employ somebody, you're immediately into, you know, £1,000-2,000 a month.
Absolutely.
Without actually knowing if they're going to do, you know, deliver the goods. So that was obviously a real attraction for us. Our team are pretty busy. With I dare say Matthew and Sanjay are as well, with lettings as well, and having a lot of time to do follow up of you know, of a reasonably sized database, you know, months and months or years and years later, is not something we have the resource for unless we recruited somebody to do that.
And people, Malcolm, they're becoming quite savvy, aren't they, in terms of, even though they might understand that the communiques you get from a business are either, you know, automated or whatever else is, they will cut that a lot of slack as long as it's done well. If it is personalized there and it's done at the right time, I actually think it improves their view of the business, that they are using a technology at its best, rather than dear sir, madam, and all the other old hack kind of ways that other people do stuff.
Yeah, I think that's right. The other side of it, and I think Sanjay's alluded to this as well as Matthew, is, I mean, I get people phoning me up and they feel they know me.
Yes.
And it's, you know, it's quite a personal call from the get-go.
That's really good, yeah.
And I don't know if the guys are dealing with lettings as well. I guess they are. but you know, landlords are not a sympathetic lot, let alone tenants. They're quite demanding. I don't, you know, I get tenants phone me up, and it's like, oh, well, hi Malcolm, we've got this problem, and we've spoken to your lettings manager. Can you you know, get it done for us? Yeah. And I'm like, yes, of course, you know, and but it is on the back of that nurturing going on by email and text.
So it skips that whole process where the start of a call, normally of a sales call, you're trying to urgently and not appear desperately remind them who the hell you are. You know, when we spoke last time, we were talking about your dog Chet or whatever else. You haven't got to go through that whole false nature of stuff, have you? If you're obviously in communiques with them, albeit MovePal doing the job for you.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Good stuff, Paul. In terms of, again, just that thing there, what was it before that you're, you know, what was the family business, you know, we're not able to do that MovePal's giving you now?
Well, a few things. I think one of the things that I wanted to mention was that it definitely has made us, our team work smarter and more efficient for the time they've got, because I think, you know, one of the things that has been discussed is about, you know, perhaps using data or perhaps even prospecting like we all should be doing, but prospecting is often very, very cold. So actually having something like this where we can put our data in and identify the people to call has definitely made us more efficient and smarter with what we're doing with time. So that was a big thing. And some of the other things mentioned, which I wanted to talk about, was someone's talked about the leads, knowing them and being much warmer. I think this time, which people are being nurturing, it's a great time to sort of pre-frame these people. And what I mean by that is to mold them in thinking that we're the right people for them to help them move or sell or let their property. That has definitely happened within our business since using MovePal. You know, having those emails going out, as Anthony said, you know, they're all personalized, and it just has really helped, so that when they do call us, we feel like we're actually talking to someone that knows us already, rather than just cold calling people on our database. So yeah, they just working a lot more efficient. Out of the box solution, you know, one of the things is you can put something together like this, but to find the time to put months and months of email content together, text messages, all these things, as well as run a property business, most agents haven't got time to do that. And this is where you want to do something and get it done, and it doesn't happen. Well, this is out the box, literally everything's done for you. So time saving time. That's
an absolutely key one, isn't it? There's some fantastic email nurturing tools out there, aren't there? But actually, just the minute that you need to start spending time yourself to create it means that, you know, with the best of intentions, your first newsletter or nurture campaign might go out, but ironically then it's down to you that fails, not the nurture campaign itself. You just haven't had the time to set aside to build it properly, have you? And to keep on top of it, of course.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. That there's a lot of software out there, a lot of things which are great, but do they all work together? You know, and do they the text messages and the emails work together? And is there a system that's then telling you what to do? And I think that's what I like about the MovePal product, is that it's been built for agents. You know, we just want to be told when we've got to do something because we're busy. We're out and about. You know, it's not because we're lazy. It's just that we're busy.
But also, you're dealing with that most basic one that people normally want to respond in the way that they've inquired. You know, that you know, to be going back on something else. So for you to have all that ability to do that, whether that's a text message, email, WhatsApp, Sandra's talking about Messenger, anything else, you're just catering for all the different routes, aren't you? Which is, again, very important.
Yeah, no, they're definitely contacting someone at the right time. And I think, you know, Craig and we were having a chat the other day, people expect things to happen so quickly now, you know, with everything we're doing with online and with different companies, we expect responses at the right time anyway. So if an agent can tap into that and respond at exactly the right time, it's just going to be a huge benefit.
Spot on, perfect. Sanj, apart from obviously all those elements you were talking about before, is there something you feel that you weren't able to do before as well, or did you cover it off in that last section?
I think a couple of things I want to mention here. I think it's important to say that if people are watching this, that, you know, MovePal is not the panacea to everything. on the basis of, you know, and we were guilty of this, that we hadn't MovePal. And at the beginning, you know, I was getting negative vibes from my team saying, yeah, this is great, but it's not happening. And the usual, you've got this conflict of owners want more MAs and more return on investment. You've got staff that want more time, haven't got time. So how do you fill that vacuum? And I know from my own mastermind group, one or two guys were saying, Craig, well, it's not working for us. You know, we've put this money in, we're not seeing it. But I think the biggest issues have been that, again, you can have the best systems in the world, the best platforms, but if your people haven't got the time, or you haven't got the time to make it work and use it, then it's not going to happen. So how have I dealt with that? Because it was interesting to hear Malcolm's point. And again, through some of this, you know, pain points, hence where, you know, Craig's also taken these points on board and has now produced this managed MovePal, which, you know, I didn't have that privilege at the beginning because that wasn't an offer.
Yeah.
All right. So I've had to then create my own managed system. So what have I done? Well, I've actually, as you all know, VA Central that I've got on the background there is my virtual assistant business. So I actually thought, well, how do I bridge this gap? Because my team's always busy. They're fee earners in the office. They haven't got time to get through all these calls and leads. And we've got a brilliant platform that we know that works. But how do I put this together? So I've got my own VAs doing this now. So it means my team can get on with the day-to-day fee earning, and I've got somebody dedicated looking at the whole platform on a daily, hourly basis. So when Paul's saying about, hang on a minute, when these leads come, are we quick speed to lead? Yeah. I've actually got somebody who's actually sat in Cape Town, South Africa, talking to my clients in Doncaster who actually believe they're sat in the office there. And as Malcolm said, they've already got to know these people. So they're calling up saying, yeah, can I speak to Paul or whatever? Yeah, she's based in South Africa, but because she's on it 24/7, we're already building that bridge of gap of rapport. Okay. And I think it's really important that we build that, because as soon as they decide, they feel they've already got somebody in the camp on their side. And I think when you've got 50 other agents in your town all fighting for the same kind of business and trying to look after people, I think this touch point is really important, and it's how you manage it is key. So I think, you know, we can provide VAs, Craig can provide the managed solution, which I think would benefit a lot of businesses in extracting those extra returns on investment.
Well, that's really useful. I think one of the things I was going to ask her actually was, you know, how would you improve on it? What advice would you give to kind of, you know, improve the experience maybe that you've done as you've learned it there? And so you've come up essentially with a hybrid solution based around your own, obviously the ability and obviously the fantastic VA Central there with your virtual assistants to be able to cater for that. But then what you've, as you've highlighted there, it's done what Malcolm was able to do as well, and not, you know, you're not just layering another thing onto your staff members. You know, here he comes again. What's the next great idea he's going to put on top?
Absolutely.
Said, look, you don't need to worry about this, guys. We're gonna deal with this and just provide you with the full the appointments.
Yeah, and like Malcolm said, I think every agent right now, right, has got pressures of cost. Yeah. Okay, you know, and as I keep saying to people, you know, I was talking to Tom Panos the other day, that everything in the world at the moment is going up. Okay, the only thing that's coming down is estate agents' fees. You know, people still believe they can go and do a deal at 0.5 and 0.75% when everything around them is going up. And we've got to get our, you know, the industry to understand we need to start pushing everything up, just like every other industry. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of casualties in this industry, like we did, you know, in 07, 08.
Cool. Well, it's a nice cheerful thing to land on, isn't there? Now, by the way,
absolutely, always got to give you the reality as well, you know.
He's dragged us into a right Spursy centre there. By the way, also the most shameless name drop I've ever heard, and that's coming from me, Mr. Panel. Very impressive. I know you're very good chums with Mr. P. Matthew, just in terms of. I mean, look, we've heard from all of you, so you can only surprise us now. But in terms of the value for money that MovePal gives you, just want to really summarise it really quickly for you. I mean, I'm guessing, obviously not your competitors, but you'd be recommending this to pretty much anybody else, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, for me,
in short, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's phenomenal value. In terms of what we get out of it, it's like anything, it's what you put in. It's not going to do it on its own if you don't invest the time, your teams don't take it seriously, and do the work, you're not going to get what you want out of it. But provided you stick with it, and you go with it, yes, phenomenal value. We get loads out of it.
And did you find that there is an adoption curve just in terms of getting the staff on board and doing it? So it's about setting the right expectation, isn't it, as well there? Don't expect something to be, I mean, I think the guys are going to give us a couple of, actually there are still some short-term benefits from this, but look at this as like you don't do advertising, just do one big splurge of advertising, and then sit back and expect it. It's got to be over a period of time to deliver properly.
Yeah, completely. And I think it depends where you are. So I suppose for our patch and where our offices are, we're in the kind of busiest, highest density town of our patch. So we felt like we saw a response really, really swiftly. Number of leads was considerably higher. So even if we're seeing 50 leads and 3 of them converting to vows immediately, we're seeing the benefit.
Good, yeah.
But some of the other offices were thinking, well, hold on a minute. Yeah, okay, I'm getting X number of leads, which is great, but they're not ready. And I think that is the product, isn't it? It's having the opportunity to speak to the people well in advance of them being ready, so that when they are, you're there as the first point of call. So yeah, just stick with it, is my view, because it would be easy to trial it for a month and go, oh, I haven't got an immediate response out of it, so it doesn't work. It does.
Yeah, even though you did get the short-term response. So
yeah.
Let's just set their expectations. It's going to be month 2 before they start seeing it anyway, but that's good. Thank you, Matthew. Malcolm, from your point of view, one of your better investments? Certainly than your Tottenham season ticket.
I wish. Well, I'm conscious of your comment about the costs going up, but apart from that, I think just to keep it really simple, I mean, obviously it will fluctuate.
Yeah.
Sorry, the number of MAs, which is really the end game for all of us.
Yes.
Will fluctuate over Christmas and whatever it happens to be. But if Craig and Anthony go out and talk to agents and say, what would you pay to get 10 MAs a month?
Yeah.
I think it's good value. Yeah.
That sounds.
You can put the prices down though, Craig.
I won't put your price up, Malcolm. Don't worry. You're safe.
Do that on the private chat, Craig. It's a great price. Paul, from your point of view.
Yeah, I'm going to be biased, but everything I ask for, it does. So yeah, I think any agent who's looking to generate more seller leads or landlord leads, it's a no-brainer, to be honest.
Good. I always like being pointed in that no-brainer.
Simon, can I just add one little point on this as well that's quite important, and that is that with any prop tech, if you stand still, you go backwards. So we're constantly evolving and developing this. We're taking on what our clients are asking. We're getting comments from it, from all of our members all the time. Something that's being rolled out very soon is the integration with the portals. So that's Rightmove, Zoopla, and On the Market. So your inbound buyer and tenant leads. Yeah. One of the things that a lot of people are asking for is that how can we pre-qualify tenants? Yeah. Coming on a Monday, we got 200-300 tenants, and out of that 20 are actually worth it. So putting them on some form of automation to get them to actually complete a questionnaire in order to qualify those, and those that don't fill it out then go on to a different nurture to encourage them to do it. So that means that when the agent comes in on a Monday, they're only looking at the ones that have gone through that process and could be bothered to go through that process. And obviously with the buyers, we know that 80% of buyers are also selling, so we're trying to extract out information about whether they need to sell a property before they can buy, and then we put them into another journey from that. So that's coming out. So now a premium package, not a lot more. It's only going to be about 100 quid a month, but it will be coming out soon. Watch this space, but we're talking about probably beginning of Q2, I would say.
That's next month.
It is next month, yeah.
Yeah, just to set it. No, that sounds really good. I mean, that is one of the biggest. So essentially, the need not to actually rekey these leads in will be, they will automatically be flowing into the MovePal setup. from those?
Yeah, it's via, we've done API integrations with the portal, so it's deep integrations with them. Yeah, so it's good.
Well, and what's amazing about that is just to hit Sanj back. I was obviously going to have the last word. When I listened to Alexander Phillips, Australia's #1 agent, one of the things he was commenting on was he said that they at their team actually, rather than seeing a lot of those portal leads as time wasters, they used to religiously go back over the ones that were older, 90 days, 180 days, and everything else there. Appreciating, I think, what Paul's point was, that some of them are at just a very exploratory stage. And if you bump them out of your lead nurture there, you're going to miss out of them. And I think, many agents here, well, we just haven't got the time or bandwidth to cope for that. But in the way that you're talking about it here, that will just naturally then happen, won't it? Which again is another massive win when you consider the sheer volume of those leads that come from the various portals.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, that's really good.
Yeah.
Stands from your point of view, and I know you are a tough man to talk about value for money. So, where do these guys sit on the pantheon of value for money on your spectrum?
I think for me, it's instrumental part of our business. All right, and again, giving you some analogies. As a golfer, and not that I am a golfer, I think this is one of the clubs in your bag that you have to have. It's not all the things, but it's one of the things. Because again, as we all know, running our businesses now is challenging. We've got a number of things we've got to look after, but definitely this is one of the key clubs in your bag that you need to have. And to be fair to these guys, they've demonstrated what Craig just said about evolving. I started my journey with them with ValPal, then we've gone to MovePal to ChatPal. So all the way along, if I didn't find it was value for money, I would have got out of the stuff straight away. And I think it's important to mention that if anyone hasn't got these platforms yet, it isn't just one for Christmas, it's a long-term strategy. And if you're not prepared to invest in that, I think there's plenty of other shiny products that you can, go and get. That's
one of the essentials, or as I talk about it, the only club I have is the chocolate biscuit, but slightly different there. So, okay, guys, let's just try and think. Has anybody got any? I think you've been really good in sharing some of the stats out there. Has anyone got any stats out there that we need to wrap up? Obviously, just to put context with, because I think it's been so useful hearing all these different ways you've got there, but obviously stats to add some ROI to that as well.
Well, the stats for me were within the first 6 months, we generated 27 grand's worth of fees. Okay. All right. Now, that obviously is going to be very, very different in every town because we're still selling houses at 60 grand in our town. Okay. A lot of agents average fee 5 grand. I think Malcolm was saying if he's getting 10 MAs a month, if he's 5 grand or whatever, I think it's a no-brainer.
It is. It's impressive stuff. Thank you for that, Sam. And I think you made the point, didn't I? I asked you guys, Craig and Anthony as well, to give us some of those key stats. And you said, on average, your members get a 25 to 30% engagement on that short-term nurture. So even though that the gold is at the end of the rainbow longer term, as Paul's saying, is you still get some short, and indeed Matthew, so I was saying short term, there were still really valuable ROIs to get out of this.
Yeah.
I think, again, Simon, I think the key is if anyone's not using MovePal right now, the first thing is to have a chat with these guys. And even before you have a chat with them, have a look back at your database. How much is, your database in terms of archives? Because I can guarantee any agent with an archive of a significant number, these guys will bring a return fairly quickly because they're people that nobody's doing anything about in their business. It's lower hanging fruit that you can get to work straight away. And the beauty is, as like Craig said earlier, you can drip that over a 12-week period. You're going to get returns every week. And it's a manageable return rather than having famine and feast over 12 weeks.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah, and so, sorry, Sam, just want to add something on top of that. I know we're past the hour mark, so apologies. Just as Sanjay touched on this, MovePal really is twofold, as everyone's experienced here. Facebook leads, we're getting them at the earlier stage. So that's the first part, is generating people at an earlier stage, nurturing long-term. So you're going to get them long-term wins, and also a percentage of those Facebook leads will be short-term wins too. but it's then also to get those big short-term wins, exactly as Sanjay said, it's getting that archive data into the system, because we know as soon as we put them on a campaign, even 500 of them a week or less, 150, 250 a week, there will be a steady flow of short-term wins for their team to convert.
And I think one final thing for me, Simon, just that's important as well, and I think a lot of agents aren't really probably considering it, is part of my MovePal and why it's successful for us, is we've got Mr. Facebook there as well, and we have to use that. So again, we've got Paul really, for me personally, in a lot of our campaigns to make sure we are hitting it, really optimizing it, because, we're pretty good at it, but he's the guy that's spending 24/7 on things that are changing all the time. And I think whatever campaign you do 3 months ago on Facebook ads or whatever might not be the same in 3 months, because they're continuously changing algorithms, patterns and all that. He's our man that's on the spot there telling us, right, this strategy is moving, we need to move along with it. And I think that is just as important as having the MovePal platform.
Yeah, I agree there. Our very own Obi-Wan, if you don't want to have your Obi-Wan on Facebook supporting you there in terms of giving you the secrets, I think it is, isn't it? Because there's loads of, look, you can see marketeers are plenty out there. They can help you in all these key areas, can't they? And then you'll have your head in your hands trying to explain to them how a estate agency works and the niceties there. The wonderful thing is you're all property people, you're all getting it, and that out-the-box understanding of empathy of how these things tie together in the world of property is the key element, isn't it? To get together on board. Guys, I did promise you, I did obviously say it was going to be 50 minutes, so I lied to you, as I always do. Always squeeze 20% extra out of your guests. That's my claim to fame. I think that we've heard today some fantastic feedback. It really is important to be able to pick from the people who actually use these systems, as well as obviously the people there. Guys, you must be quite appreciative to be able to have heard from these guys that they are getting some real value out of it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the comments. It's really good to hear.
Good
yeah,
stuff.
and thanks guys for the time.
Yeah,
lovely. Well, look, go and have a look on. Obviously, go on, have a look on the ValPal site on Kerfuffle there as well. See loads of other testimonials about it as well. We've got great deals up there with the suppliers as well. You can inquire on it or reach out to the guys in the normal place, and obviously. And respond from that. But, for today, everybody, thank you so much for your time. It's really appreciated, and we'll catch up with you soon.